On April 25, 2015, Nepal was hit by a devastating earthquake of magnitude 7.8, which changed the lives of millions of people forever. In this video, we take you to the heart of this tragedy, exploring the causes, dramatic consequences, and heroic reconstruction efforts that followed one of the most horrific natural disasters of our time. On April 25, 2015, Nepal was hit by a devastating earthquake of magnitude 7.8, with its epicenter near Barpak, Gorkha district. This earthquake, also known as Gorkha earthquake, caused one of the worst natural disasters in the recent history of the country, with devastating consequences on infrastructure, economy, and human lives. The earthquake killed approximately 9,000 people and injured over 22,000. More than 600,000 homes were destroyed, and another 285,000 were severely damaged, leaving millions of people homeless. Living conditions for survivors were extremely difficult, with many communities isolated and without access to basic services. The earthquake caused severe collapses and structural damage with devastating effects on historic and modern buildings, public and private infrastructure. Buildings made of traditional materials, such as mud bricks and wood, were particularly affected. Historical buildings affected, such as the Dharahara Tower, a 9-story, 61-meter-high structure, was one of the most iconic landmarks in Kathmandu. The tower collapsed completely, killing over 180 people who were inside or nearby. The loss of Dharahara symbolized the destruction of Nepalese cultural heritage. Kathmandu Durbar Square, this UNESCO World Heritage Site, is home to numerous historic temples and palaces. Many buildings, including the Kastamandap Temple and the Maju Deval Temple, were destroyed or severely damaged. The square was reduced to rubble, depriving Nepal of a major tourist and cultural attraction. Patan and Bhaktapur are two other historic cities with numerous ancient temples and palaces. Many temples, including the Vatsala Durga Temple in Bhaktapur, collapsed, and others suffered significant damage. The destruction has severely affected the country's cultural and religious heritage. In densely populated neighborhoods of Kathmandu and surrounding areas, many homes collapsed, leaving tens of thousands of people homeless. Homes in rural areas, often built with artisanal techniques and local materials, were equally devastated. In cities, many concrete buildings collapsed or were damaged, highlighting the poor enforcement of earthquake resistance standards. Many hospitals and clinics were damaged or destroyed, reducing the health system's capacity to respond to the emergency. Remaining operational health facilities were quickly overwhelmed by the number of injured and lacked essential resources. Makeshift first aid centers faced a severe shortage of medical equipment and medicines. Thousands of schools across Nepal have been destroyed or severely damaged. An estimated 25,000 classrooms have been destroyed, disrupting the education of millions of children and leaving many without a safe place to study. Tourism, one of Nepal's main sources of income, has suffered a sharp decline. Many tourists have canceled their trips due to safety concerns and damage to historical sites. Many tourism workers, including guides, tour operators, and hotel workers, have lost their jobs or seen their incomes drastically reduced. Landslides and the destruction of infrastructure have hit the agricultural sector hard, with many crops destroyed and disruptions in the supply chain of agricultural products. Many families have lost their livestock, which are essential to their livelihoods and the rural economy. The earthquake was caused by a shift along the fault line between the Indian plate and the Eurasian plate. These plates move toward each other at a rate of about 45 millimeters per year. In reverse faults, one block of the Earth's crust is pushed over another. The main fault involved in this earthquake is known as the main frontal thrust fault, one of the major tectonic structures in the Himalayas. The convergence of the two plates causes a continuous buildup of stress in the rocks of the region. When this stress exceeds the strength of the rocks, a sudden rupture occurs along the fault, releasing energy in the form of seismic waves. The epicenter was in the Gorkha region, about 80 kilometers northwest of Kathmandu. The hypocentral depth was about 15 kilometers below the surface, a relatively shallow depth that amplified the intensity of the earthquake at the surface. The main earthquake was followed by several aftershocks, including a magnitude 7.3 earthquake on May 12, 2015. The aftershocks further contributed to the damage and complicated relief efforts. Seismic sequences in an area like the Himalayas are common because of high tectonic stress. Energy release can occur in a series of successive seismic events. The earthquake caused significant deformation of the Earth's crust in the region, shifting large areas of land. Subsequent studies showed that some parts of the land rose several meters, while others sank. Future risks are that the Himalayan region remains highly seismic due to the ongoing convergence of the plates. The risk of further earthquakes is high. Understanding the tectonic mechanisms and seismic history of the region is crucial for preparing and mitigating future risks. The earthquake destabilized ice and rock masses, causing numerous landslides and avalanches, including a large avalanche on Mount Everest. This avalanche swept through base camp, killing 22 climbers and injuring many others. It was the deadliest avalanche in Everest's history. The avalanche started from nearby Pamori, a mountain located west of Everest Base Camp. The avalanche, composed of snow, ice, and rocks, moved quickly and with great force, sweeping away everything in its path, causing the deaths of several people, including climbers, Sherpa guides, and support staff. Over 60 people were injured. Tents, equipment, and other structures at the base camp were destroyed or buried under snow and debris. The sudden impact of the avalanche created chaos and panic, with many climbers desperately trying to save themselves. Rescue operations were launched quickly but faced numerous challenges due to the harsh conditions and extent of damage. Helicopters were used to evacuate the injured from base camp and to bring supplies to the survivors. Rescue teams consisting of Sherpa guides, mountaineers, and Nepalese military personnel worked to find and rescue the trapped people. The earthquake and avalanches of 2015 have had a lasting impact on the climbing community and local populations. Climbing routes have been re-examined and, in some cases, modified to reduce the risk of future rockfalls and avalanches. New safety procedures and evacuation protocols have been introduced at base camps and along climbing routes. Reconstruction after the earthquake has been a long and difficult process. The government of Nepal, together with the international community, has worked to rebuild destroyed infrastructure and homes. Bureaucracy and corruption have slowed the reconstruction process. Logistical challenges in remote areas have complicated the delivery of construction materials and access to affected areas. However, lack of resources and the complexity of operations have slowed progress. As of 2023, over 90% of the destroyed homes have been rebuilt or repaired. New construction follows earthquake-resistant standards to ensure greater safety in the event of future earthquakes. Reconstruction of homes has been financed through a combination of international aid, loans, and government funds. Organizations such as the World Bank and the Asian Development Bank have contributed large sums. The 2015 Nepal earthquake caused unprecedented devastation to the country's infrastructure, profoundly impacting the daily lives of its people. The response and reconstruction were a monumental undertaking, requiring significant coordination between the Nepalese government and the international community. Lessons learned from this disaster have led to improvements in construction practices and disaster preparedness, with the goal of mitigating future risks and protecting the lives and property of the Nepalese people. Change is never painful, only resistance to change is. Buddha. Thank you so much for joining us on World Catastrophes. If you found this video interesting, please leave a like to support us, subscribe to the channel to receive new content, and share it with someone who might appreciate it. See you in the next video.